cloudy night in Brisbane with a chance of rain. Tracks for the Convention and Exhibition Center. And Kevin Harlan.
Tonight, it's the men's all-around competition starring Jordan Yopchev, floor exercise gold medalist. Co-starring China's Wang Shu, who dazzled us with his strength and grace on the parallel bars. Making his guest appearance is Australia's hero Philippe Rizzo, who blew the roof off the hall last night on the high bar. America's all-around champion Shaun Townsend brings his best to Brisbane as he looks to make his mark against the world's elite. Welcome, everyone, to Gymnastics, which enters its 4th day, and this session should be extraordinary, with some of the best in the world on display. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kevin Harlan. Tonight, it's the men's individual all-around competition, which features 12 gymnasts operating on 6 different apparatus. But in artistic gymnastics this year, there have been some changes, especially with preparation. Earlier today, Dee Lynam caught up with Olympic gold medalist Bart Connor.
It's been said that one can only perform as well as he prepares. And Bart, there's been an issue this week with the warm-up area for the gymnasts. What's going on?
Well, we've talked a lot about the new rules since Sydney. One of the new rules, and some people feel it was designed to increase the drama of the competition, you had the athletes warm up in the background and not here on the podium so the athletes don't see them in their preparations. But I got to tell you, it's a completely different environment here than back there in the warm-up gym, and let me show you what I mean.
All right, well, Bart makes his way back to the warm-up area. Keep this in mind. Athletes are creatures of habit. It's the reason they're at the top of their sport. They adhere to very strict regimens, including where, how, and when they practice. And if you alter that, it certainly affects them.
All right, Dee, now here I am back in the workout gym, and it's a perfectly good gym, but notice how dark it is back here. The lighting is very low. You can barely see me. Now, the equipment is perfectly normal, but it's bolted down to the concrete, and the dynamics of the equipment are very different out here on the competition floor. Let's go take a look. When the athlete is called to compete, they're escorted by one of the representatives from the competition out here into this completely different environment, and you can see this transformation that happens. This is a big, wide-open gym, a lot of bright lights. Spatial awareness is very important in the sport of gymnastics. Athletes are flipping and twisting, and they need to know where they are at all times. They come out here, they compete on a podium, which is 3 feet off the ground. The dynamics of all the equipment is completely different. That floor exercise mat here on the podium is completely different than the one in the warm-up gym, and that's what the athletes are complaining about.
And we should point out that this policy wasn't made specifically for the Goodwill Games, but really has been adopted by the International Gymnastics Federation.
That's right.
And it could be reviewed at the upcoming World Championships this fall in Belgium.
And again with us tonight, 3-time Olympian and gold medalist Dominique Dawes. And Dom, what do you think of this new policy in artistic gymnastics?
You know, it'd be really hard to find an athlete that's a fan of this new policy. It's very difficult to get adjusted to the equipment. There's no touch, no warm-up, and actually earlier on in the competition, we're thinking possibly the falls and mistakes could have been the reason of this new policy.
And as they continue to file into the Brisbane Convention and Exhibition Center, the men's all-around floor exercise beginning with Jordan Yopchev from Bulgaria, right on down the line. In the men's pommel horse, we will see 3 Americans, and that will be a lot of fun. Tonight, as the United States will be very well represented, with Shaun Townsend, Rep McClure, and Steve McCain.
Now notice the athletes are warming up tonight. This is different. In the all-around competition, the athletes are allowed what we call the one-touch warm-up, which is basically 30 seconds per athlete, to get used to the apparatus right out here, right before they have to compete, right under the lights. Now, the other night in the individual event competition, they weren't allowed to do this, and I think that opened the door for several of the mistakes that we saw.
When you were in this position, warming up literally seconds before you were going to compete, what was on your mind? What were you trying to accomplish in this little pre-competition move?
Well, you're pretty jazzed up at this moment. You got to learn how to control the energy and your adrenaline, and you got to adjust to the equipment. You know, you sense how springy the floor is and how soft the spring is on the beat board and how the rings give, and all of that is really important sensory information before you go.
Well, here is Jordan Yovchev from Bulgaria. He placed 8th all-around at the 2000 Olympics and 3rd all-around at the 1999 World Championships.
Jordan could certainly be considered one of the all-around favorites today. He's a very balanced athlete. This is an important tumbling run for here. Right here. Tough combination. Oh, he nailed it.
Dominique, what about the floor?
You know, the floor is an apparatus that changes from each country to the next competition, and this is a hard floor, and he seems to be adjusting to it quite well.
Watch this combination here. These are moves that are taken from the pommel horse. Those are Thomas flares invented by American Kurt Thomas many years ago. Jordan does them spectacularly.
He was first in the floor exercise earlier this week.
Continue to talk about the new rules. Those moves, those Thomas flares, were worth more in combination under the last code. He used to get sometimes as much as 7/10 of a point bonus just for doing that pommel horse type work. Floor routine lasts up to 70 seconds. And you'll hear with 10 seconds to go, right there, the signal that says he has 10 seconds to complete the exercise. His last run is a double layout.
Oh, man, great landing.
Fantastic start for Yovchev.
That was definitely a strong routine for him. All his combinations looked really good.
Had a little bit of a bobble in his second tumbling run. His first one was the best I've seen him do it. All of those combination tumbling runs add up to a lot of bonus, but it's important, of course, to drill the landing, a double layout, and Jordan is well known for his clean execution on all the equipment. My wife.
Now the pommel horse with Wang Shu from China. And he was second on the pommel horse earlier in the week.
Scored a 9.412 there.
Wang was 8th all around at the 1998 Goodwill Games.
Hear that squeaking sound. It's like somebody forgot to tighten the bolt on this thing.
Would that bother you?
Yeah. Doesn't seem to be bothering him. Fantastic routine. High level of difficulty in those combinations. Really fast swing.
How important is height off the pommel?
You need to be highly elevated over the pommel so you can keep reaching in behind you to do those complex sequences. He's pretty happy with that. He's had some problems on the leg events, tumbling and vaulting. He'll need to be solid there tonight if he hopes to finish on the podium. This is a good move, right? The single leg work is a requirement, and he hops to a handstand and pirouettes off the end.
22-year-old Wang Shu, first on the men's pommel horse tonight. There's Jordan Yovchev with a 9.4 from the floor exercise to get things started in that particular event. Up next from Australia, 19-year-old Damon Istria.
Right away, I think it's important to point out that the scores are going to be lower than what many gymnastics fans are used to seeing. Rules are so hard these days. A 9.4 or 9.5 is a fantastic score.
47 all around at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney.
Whoa.
And out of bounds there.
Missed that badly. He was going for one of those upgraded tumbling sequences.
Yeah, with the new code, they require you to do higher degree of difficulty and more combinations. And unfortunately, he was going for it, but unfortunately, he had a fall.
Damien's first Goodwill Games appearance.
Says his favorite events are the rings and the vault. His coach here is Sergei Shinkar, who moved here from Belarus, was the former coach of Vitaly Sherba, the great winner of 6 gold medals at the '92 Olympics in Barcelona. what a takeoff. He just launched that double back. It looked like he got lost in the air.
Australia's Damien Istria.
Now, the athletes have complained about this floor surface all week long. This is the same floor they used at the Olympics in Sydney, and there are lots of problems with it. They said the floor is deceiving because it seems to be dead, but if you hit it just right, it really launches you. According to Marian Dragulescu, who said it bites you back, and Istria got a bite.
There's foam under there. There are springs underneath that floor.
Yes, there are, and I've competed on that floor before, and it is a little hard, it's a little difficult to land on.
And for Wong Shu with a 9.450, the first on the pommel horse, which brings us to 29-year-old Ukrainian Alexander Svetlichny from Kiev.
Let's talk about the makeup of the 10.0 score for the gymnasts. Half of the score comes from difficulty elements, up to 5 points for specific requirements, bonus elements, and difficulty elements. And then the other half of the score, the rest of the 5 points, are coming from the category of execution.
Svetlichny placed 5th all around at the 2000 Olympics and 9th at the 96 Olympics in Atlanta.
Not a bad routine. We're seeing better gymnastics tonight. There are basically 5 element groups on each event that the judges are looking for in terms of specific requirements.
For Damien Istria, a 7.400. He's from Australia, and here is another Aussie, Philippe Rizzo, who won a gold medal last night on the high bar and absolutely drove this crowd into a frenzy.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Last night the crowd was in awe of his performance, taking home the gold first medal for an Australian athlete in gymnastics in the Goodwill Games.
Scored a huge 9.737 on the high bar. And the technique was beautiful on that, just overdone a little bit. He's going to go out again.
He finished 29th all around at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney.
Every floor mat has a different kind of consistency. And many of the athletes who came to the Olympics in Sydney, they came here a couple of weeks early to adjust to the spring of the floor. Some of these athletes arrived just the night before the competition. They haven't quite adjusted to this unusual kind of spring system.
It's funny how a playing surface, whether it's in basketball, football, or anything, has such an effect on performances.
Yeah, it takes a few days to get accustomed to a different floor mat, a different balance beam, different set of rings.
Well, the Romanian coaches said it's like playing tennis one day on grass and the next day on clay.
Right.
Yeah.
Very different type of rebound consideration. Wow, he launched that double back.
He's a favorite. A gold last night. And the first of his 6 apparatus tonight for Australia's Philippe Rizzo.
Watch this bounding whip back to a backflip 1.5 twist to a Rudy. It's a great combination to earn bonus points, but the big step and out of bounds will be a consideration by the judges.
And from the Ukraine, Svetlichny with the 9.175, currently number 3 on the men's pommel horse. And this brings us to our next competitor, Ivan Ivankov from Belarus. Lives in Minsk, and he is the defending Goodwill Games all-around champion in this event.
Of course, the 2-time world all-around champion. 94, he won the world championships here in Brisbane. Missed out on the 96 Olympics after tearing his Achilles tendon just 12 days before the Olympic Games started, and a year later came back after a complete Achilles tendon repair to win the world all-around again. Just an amazing comeback story.
His first big win in his life was here in Brisbane, the '94 World Championship.
Now, he's very concerned tonight on how well he'll be able to do on floor and vault, having a little trouble with his lower back, but he was pretty confident with his work on the pommel horse. And you can see how complex these elements are. There's not a lot of room for hand placements, and the judges require several combinations using one pommel, where the gymnasts have to rack up bonus points. The longer they stay on one individual pommel, the more they get.
Philippe Rizzo on the floor exercise, currently fourth, 8-8-1-2, as we continue with gymnastics from downtown Brisbane. We're in the midst of the men's all-around from the Brisbane Convention and Exhibition Center. Vinkoff's score on the pommel horse, 9-5-8-7. Currently number one. As we now switch back over to the men's floor, Alexei Bondarenko from Moscow. Now, he competed in 5 of the 6 individual event finals held earlier this week, but Bart earned only 1 medal. Tonight's all-around, he looks to match or improve upon his second-place finish in the all-around at the 98 games in New York.
Like this mount. Look at this. Double-double. Double somersault with a double switch. This is perhaps the most critical pass right here. 1.5 front. Full. Oh, he was off. Pretty good cover-up job, though. You know, when you're a little off, you just got to keep selling it to the judges.
Yeah, definitely when you're competing, you want to compensate for a mistake that you might have made, bring it back, and try to cover it up so the judges don't see that little mistake you made.
Sometimes it might look good to the audience, but if he's left out a bonus connection or something, sometimes the audience is disappointed with the score because it's a technicality that they may not be aware of, and this is a highly complicated sport. Oh, that was great. 2.5 twister to a punch front. I tell you, these guys are really launching it tonight. These are some of the highest tumbling moves I've seen in a long time. Hard to control the landings on this floor surface, but they do get in the air. Oh, man. That was very strange that he actually did 2 back handsprings into that pipe double back.
You usually do 1.
Yeah.
It seemed like he wanted more power, and obviously that didn't happen. And here goes the last tumbling pass. 2 back handsprings right there. You could tell he's a little sluggish and slow and just not able to pull it all the way around.
Oh, and I tell you, that just munches the ankles.
And the face sometimes.
Next up on the pommel horse from America, Sean Townsend, born in Temple, Texas, resides now in Houston. He just came from Beijing, China, where he tied for 4th place in the all-around at the World University Games.
Yeah, this guy is doing great in this exercise. Nice combination on the end there into the middle. Sean Townsend is pretty hot right now, just coming off the U.S. National Championships where he dominated. He's struggling a little through this routine. He's having to put a little arm into it. Okay, he made it.
Fight.
Oh, that was a fight.
That was
a fight.
It wasn't pretty, but you can see it on his face. He's like, well, I made it.
Sean finished 9th all around at the 98 Goodwill Games held in New York City.
He doesn't quite have the elevation over the horse that some of the other athletes do. He's really terrific on floor, vault, rings. He has managed to put together a routine that has potential to get a good score on the horse. But in terms of technique, he struggled a little bit there.
Alexei Bondarenko from Russia with an 8-7 and currently 6th. And now another Russian, Nikolai Kryukov. Bad back has altered his week here, but he has had some success. A couple of medals in the parallel bars and the high bar earlier this week.
Oh, my goodness.
Almost everyone has fallen out of bounds.
Seemed like the other night 6 of the 8 guys went out of bounds.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe it would be better. They would be doing better today on floor, having been competed on it earlier this week, but it seems like people are still having difficulties adjusting.
How many different moves do they got to cram inside this little over a minute performance?
Well, it all comes down to bonus points. The gymnasts are looking for an 8-8 base score based on the single event requirements and some of their aspects to the routine. But all these gymnasts you're talking about are what's called bonus points. 1.2, they have to come up in difficult combinations. And so that is all the gymnasts talk about, is what's your start value, how much bonus do you have, and you get that by combining some of those bounding, tumbling skills.
And so a lot of times if you see a low score, it might not be because the routine was bad or anything. It might just be because the start value was really low. There wasn't enough combinations and bonuses in it.
Okay, in a simple double twist dismount, he's had an Achilles tendon problem before, and he told me today his body doesn't feel really terrific, a little bit worn out, tired, and not in his best condition right now.
Nikolai Kryukov. And back to Sean Townsend on the pommel horse, 8.825, currently ranking number 5. And here comes another American on the pommel horse. They're on day 4 of gymnastics from Brisbane, Brett McClure. And McClure finished 3rd on the pommel earlier this week, winning the bronze.
He was thrilled with that performance. In fact, exciting that he got a last-minute call to jump in today's all-around competition after Alexander Barish from Ukraine pulled out with a shoulder injury. Have to admit, after his performance in the high bar, he said, hey, I'm going to have a little vacation. And then today, he got a call after workout and says, guess what? You're in the meet. He's like, oh, wow.
This is a great opportunity, actually, for Brett to have more international experience coming up for the World Championships in a month.
It's great routine.
Brett McClure from Colorado Springs, Colorado, his first Goodwill Games appearance.
It really is clean. A little different technique than you saw from Sean Townsend. He swings a little wider, a little more fluid in the circling movements.
Kryukov from Russia with an 8-2 for exercise score, and all the way at number 8, which brings us to Marian Dragulescu from Romania. Lives, born and raised in Bucharest, Romania. His first Goodwill Games appearance.
The other day, he actually won a silver on this event. So he adjusted quite well to the floor then.
He's an extremely powerful tumbler.
And he's won a 3rd already, a bronze on the vault. So 2 medals already this week for Dragulescu.
Beautiful double layout full. Important combination right here. Full layout. Oh, and again, another one. There's really 2 aspects to these gymnasts going out of bounds. One is the higher level of difficulty required. The other, of course, is this unusual floor surface.
Well, is it the gymnasts that are at fault, or is it the floor that is at fault?
Well, the floor is just a different consistency, and I asked them earlier, what exactly is it? And they said it feels like it's very hard. The springs underneath are very stiff, and so there is some softer foam covering it, and it's deceiving, because when you get out there, you think it's going to be dead, and yet it launches you in the air, and it's really difficult. It's very unforgiving on the landing.
You know, when you think about it, it's a little bit the athletes, also a little bit of having to do higher degrees of difficulty.
Oh, right. That was pretty.
Nice.
And Brett McClure on the pommel horse. A solid 9.512. Currently number 2. And our third consecutive American, Steve McCain from Colorado Springs, born in Houston. Arrived here early Tuesday morning from Beijing. He was also at the World University Games.
Interesting to see what he comes up with here. Was working on that sequence in training yesterday and struggling with it. This one too. Oh, that's too bad. You see him reach down there to his thumb. He has a split on his right thumb. It's bleeding a lot because the skin is cracked from doing some of those difficult combinations on the pommel horse, and yesterday he was bleeding throughout practice. Not that that's a big issue, but it shows you how hard he's been working on the pommel horse, trying to upgrade his difficulty. Was unsuccessful today, and he's struggling here.
He did compete in Sydney at the Olympics. Dragulescu from Romania, 9.312, and currently number 5. And we'll be back with more from the men's all-around competition. Welcome back to the men's all-around with Bart Connor, Dominic Dawes, Kevin Harlan. Right now, from America, Brett McClure is number 2 in the all-around, and Sean Townsend, number 7, with Steve McCain, number 10. After one rotation. Now, we continue with the pommel horse, but bring the rings into play.
The way it works tonight is the athletes start on the floor or the horse, and then both groups rotate in Olympic order, which is the floor to the horse to the rings, then to the vault, parallel bars, finish on the high bar.
You know, we began the broadcast tonight talking about this warming up that they have not allowed anybody to do all week long. I'm enjoying watching this. It kind of gets you in the mood and gets you ready for the particular competition.
Yes, that's true. 30 seconds per athlete is not that difficult to add in for a competition. It does make a big difference to the athlete's psyche, as well as just your body getting warmed up, used to the equipment, used to those little squeaks that you were talking about earlier, Bart, from the pommel horse.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. In fact, some officials felt that if they would eliminate this warm-up, it would speed up the competition. But I think this is all part of the whole game of gymnastics that makes it interesting for the public.
Any mind games going on here among
Definitely, man. You try to psych out your competition, pop a couple of big moves, look really sharp when you take your warm-up turn. And the judges don't mind taking a look at what the athletes are doing and how they look right before they go to compete.
Definitely, because unlike rhythmic gymnastics, we don't submit a list in artistic gymnastics for the judges at all.
So the floor exercise, the pommel horse, the rings, the vault, the parallel bars, and the high bar will be the 6 apparatus tonight. I would think, and you look at this and what they've gone through already, what they've practiced with earlier today, and now more practice now, they've got to be absolutely exhausted, even halfway through.
Well, these guys, this is what they do. You know, some of these elite athletes in gymnastics, they work out 6 hours a day. This is just what they do.
Yeah, competition doesn't really take that much from you physically. Mentally, yes, because you really have to psych yourself up for it, but physically, not at all.
And how would you stay sharp during a long event like this?
And some of the athletes actually feel that the competition day is the easiest day of the week because training is so intense.
First up from the Ukraine, Alexander Svetlichny.
This is our first look at the still ring event tonight. There are 5 different specific element groups that the gymnast must demonstrate. Strength moves like that. course, dominate. Most of it's all about strength these days. Have to do a swing element, and that element happens to fulfill a requirement of a swing to a strength move, and you have to freeze it right in the strength position. He doesn't quite have the brute strength that we saw from some of the specialists the other night.
From the time you competed, is it more strength or is it more swing now?
Actually, that's a very good point. In fact, even up until last year at the Olympics in Sydney, you could get a good score with a lot of swing combinations. That's why Alexei Niemov from Russia, who's not terribly strong in terms of strength moves, was able to get a good score.
29-year-old Alexander Svetlichny. And we now will go to the second group on the pommel horse. And the first will be Australian Damien Istria putting rosin on the horse.
He's putting more on than I'm used to seeing. The athletes have the ability to prep the equipment. They put some water down sometimes, and then on top of the water, they rub some chalk in to make it just a little sticky.
Dominique, the other day I saw actually them putting something like this on bars for the women and for the men, and then spraying it with water.
Yes, that's true. We'll spray it with water, then we'll put chalk over it so the chalk will stick. And a lot of times, you know, gymnasts from Russia or China will add then sugar water over it because that's what they like, because they don't use the leather grip.
Some of the athletes bring a jar of honey and they spread it over the bars.
It sounds like the Fred Bolitnikov syndrome of gymnastics. You put the stickum on his hands so he gets the best.
You not only have to get used to the different equipment, but also the different ways different countries and different gymnasts adjust the equipment.
Sometimes you hate it when the guy before you puts honey all over the bars because you don't like it that way. You got to go scrape it down.
I would think they would try to make it more uniform, where you couldn't do all that stuff.
Yeah, but maybe you should be in power with international.
I got a lot of ideas about this. Istria, third all around at the 2000 Australian Championships.
Uh-oh. He's having to put a little arm into this. This means he's muscling it. It's not pretty. Oh, that stop and rhythm is a big deduction. He was already unlucky once today on the floor exercise, scoring only a 7.4. I think he's in for a long night, considering how strong this field is.
He was the youngest male gymnast ever to represent Australia at the Olympic Games. As you take a look at Svetlichny, who currently is #1 with a total of 18.112. And on the rings, 8.937. And this is Ivan Ivankov from Belarus.
This is actually his favorite event, so it should be a very strong performance for him.
He tied for second on the rings at the '98 Goodwill Games.
Certainly has a chance to extend his lead here because these first two events here in the all-around are two of his best. Nice. That's called a planche. Press to an inverted cross. It's important the shoulders are down low into the rings. And a kip to a Maltese cross, keeping the body parallel to the floor. Oh, wow.
Ivan Ivankov from Belarus.
Guy's got some guns there, right? Huh?
Bart Connor guns.
Really, and such a great gymnast technically. Not only does he have just the brute strength, but mechanics and the rhythm of the exercise is just great.
Damien Istria with an 8.0 on the pommel, 7.4 on the floor exercise. Another Australian is ready to go on the pommel horse, Philippe Rizzo. His His father competed for France at the 1960 games in Rome. Then the family moved to Australia in 1970. And Philippe was born in Australia, born in Sydney.
Oh, yeah, I like the body position here. Look at that extension from the shoulders all the way through to the feet. A little off on that one combination. Really nice mechanics.
And he did not compete on the pommel horse earlier this week.
Beautiful routine. Definitely wiped out those mistakes he made earlier in the floor exercise and was able to gain his composure.
His coach is Vladimir Vatkin, who moved here from Belarus to coach in Australia. Look at the body line. That's just great. Talk about elevation over the pommels. I know, Kevin, that's real important to you, and that's he's way up there.
And from Belarus, Ivan Ivankov on the rings, 9.687. Now Sean Townsend from the United States.
Sean has the potential to get a good score here. He's very solid on rings. I love that mount. Back roll around to cross, press to Maltese. Most of the gymnasts are racking up bonus by doing strength to strength combinations. When you connect those two together, you get extra bonus points.
He began to train at the age of 10, and the thing that lit the fire, watching the '88 Olympics on television.
Locked arm position. One of the best qualities of his gymnastics is he's very balanced. He's good on everything. He'll need to continue to be consistent tonight, getting solid scores across the board, not necessarily any huge score in any particular event.
For Philippe Rizzo on the pommel horse, 8.925. And up next will be the busiest of all the gymnasts we have seen by his participation in 5 of the 6 individual events, as well as the all-around. Otarenko has competed the most times of any gymnast at these Goodwill Games. Alexei from Russia.
Flew off the pommel horse the other night on a sequence right down here at the end. Let's see if he makes it all right.
Townsend's ring score again, 9.487. 9.487.
Great. Hopping a traveling sequence, and he was leaning way forward and managed to somehow pull himself back into position, and he just couldn't quite keep it going. This is such a brutal event. Oh, no. And his hand slipped there in the end.
What a disappointing routine for Alexei.
Yeah, he got forward on that hopping sequence. And right here it was strange. He was going to reach up to the pommel and do a pirouette off, and his hands just slipped as he started to turn.
Sean Townsend, a 9.487 on the rings. America well represented tonight here on day 4 of the Goodwill Games. 5.75. Next up on the rings from the U.S., Brett McClure.
Mounts with a kip to an L and a press to a handstand. That's a good combination. A move called a whippet to a cross. You'll notice here that he doesn't quite have the strength in those hold positions that some of the other athletes like Ivankov have. He's got some big swing moves, and that's a beautiful double back within the rings invented by an American in the laid out position named O'Neill. But unfortunately, under the current rules, those aren't worth as much as they used to be when you put them in combinations. So the fact that he's lacking in strength will be reflected in his score. And boy, it's so nice because he really has beautiful swing mechanics, but these days it's all about strength.
Brett McClure's second all-around at the 2001 U.S. Championships on the rings here tonight.
This is that whippet move. It's a front somersault, and you throw your arms to the side right as you come over the top and hold it in an iron cross position. It's a 1/10 of a point bonus for doing that swing to strength.
Please welcome our next competitor to men's pommel horse representing Russia.
And back to the men's pommel horse with Nikolai Kryukov. Won the all-around gold medal at the '99 World Championships in China.
There's a very high level of difficulty in this routine. Typical for most of the Russian stars, he was selected at 5 years of age to come and train in gymnastics. He was picked out of his kindergarten group because he had the right physique. He was short and strong and very quick.
He won this event at the '98 Goodwill Games in New York.
Scored a 9.025 in the individual event competition here, but this is going to be much better. If he can finish it, that's going to be a nice score.
Nikolai Kryukov from Russia, who is in a litany of injuries, battling some, in fact, tonight and in these Goodwill Games.
Yeah, he's had an Achilles tendon tear. Oh, this is nice. Without using the pommels from one end to the other, that type of skill is a required element. Climbs his way back up into the middle, and a beautiful pirouette to finish at the end.
Brett McClure on the rings moments ago, 8.725. And currently, overall, number 3. Which brings us to American Steve McCain. Unlike some of the women performers we've seen over the last couple days, Dominique Dawes, older guys competing. He is 27.
Yeah, guys usually peak a lot later than, you know, women gymnasts do. We usually peak from the ages of 16 to maybe 17. And men, I believe they peak at 19, 20, college age.
These days, they're all competing much longer because in this new era of Olympic sports, there's money available, and so they stick around a lot longer than most, and they have in the past.
Steve McCain, 2001 U.S. Championships, 3rd all around. After the pommel horse, Nikolai Kryukov with a 9.687. Overall, currently 5. Now for Romanian Marian Dragulescu.
Dragulescu is renowned for his work on the leg events, meaning floor and vault. And he has a similar physique like Sean Townsend. Doesn't quite have high elevation over the horse, but he manages to cram in a lot of difficulty. This is pretty good. Form break there.
Guys get started in this event for different reasons. In gymnastics, for Marian, he wanted to get out of taking karate lessons and chose this.
Then he said he took up swimming, and then when they started charging money for swimming lessons, he went back to gymnastics.
So it was destiny, right? Living Bucharest, Romania. Have a look at Steve McCain. He's had a busy couple weeks. China last week. I'll show you this week. 9:012 on the rings. And now, here is Huang Shu from China. He weighs 125 pounds, 5'4". I take it the smaller you are, the better it is?
Certainly in a mechanical advantage. The whole key in gymnastics is your strength to weight ratio. And I think it's very interesting because these guys look enormous, but when you see them up close and personal, they're really strong, but they're tiny. Ooh, nice.
Nice combination. Ooh. Maltese.
Hey, you're getting be an expert on all this gymnastics stuff. Way to go.
Just talking to my ear for 18 hours a day. Something's got to stick.
Are you saying I'm annoying you? Gorgeous dismount, double layout, just sailed it through the air.
Huang Shu from China has already captured 3 medals at these Goodwill Games. Very successful trip to Australia for him.
He'll be in the running in the all-around today after that 9.45 on the pommel horse. That's going to get a good score for that ring routine as well.
And the pommel horse for Romanian Dragulescu, 9.512, and currently overall #2 in this men's all-around, which brings us to Bulgarian Jordan Yovchev. Trained for a while in Oklahoma, Norman. Born in Bulgaria, 28 years old.
Jordan is renowned for his clean execution and mechanics. He admitted to me before the competition that he knows he doesn't have a high degree of difficulty in this routine. The start value is rather low. So he has a beautiful routine. And yet, when those judges tear it apart, unfortunately, he doesn't have enough stuff in there to get a big score.
Lacking in combinations and also in bonuses.
He's already won 2 medals at these games.
And a bunch of money. He's doing all right so far. These travels are required. Down the length of the horse. Nice mechanics.
I've won 2 medals, he says, and hopefully a 3rd is in the offing as you take a look at Huang Shu from China. 9.712 on the rings. It's the men's all-around. 12 gymnasts on 6 different apparatus. A great night in day 4. What's the deal? We're back at the men's all-around after 2 rotations. Ivan Ivankov of Belarus, Huang Shu of China, and Mariana Dragulescu from Romania. So far, 1, 2, and 3. And you can see Stephen McCain from the U.S. there at #10. But a couple of Americans in the top 6 so far, and they're holding their own. We've got the vault and a continuation of the rings now as they continue to rotate from one apparatus to the next. Obviously, I mean, like any of us, there is a favorite among the 6 they have right here. How do you get psyched up for the ones that are not your favorite?
Well, in fact, that's the interesting thing about the all-around competition tonight. It's not so how good you are on your best event, but in many ways it's how you can manage to get through a decent routine on your worst event. That's a balanced athlete. I always happen to have my successes on the parallel bars, but I wasn't too strong in the vault and the rings, and if I was going to be a contender, I had to deliver something pretty good there.
Warm-ups are continuing on the vault, and we will go to the rings, where it is Philippe Rizzo of Australia.
Ooh, too low in that strength move. Those cross positions have to be completely level. When When you're a little high, you get deducted. When you're a little low, not only do you get deducted, but man, you can tear some muscles.
Which you know about.
Oh, yeah.
You tell me 4 surgeries on your arms?
Yeah, these rings just kill you, man. It's tough on the shoulders. Now, here's an example of a guy who has a beautiful swing, but extremely lacking in the strength category, and his score will reflect it. He knows it. Spoke with his coach there, Vladimir Vatkin, before the competition. He said, we know we got a low start value coming up on the rings.
The vault now, and we begin that with Ivan Ivankov of Belarus. And he's got 2 medals already this week at the Goodwill Games.
This is not his favorite event. Here's a guy who's coming back from a torn Achilles tendon. You can imagine the pressure. Not bad.
And they only get 1 vault, right? Not 2.
Right.
1.
In the all-around competition tonight, they'll do 1 vault. Of course, we're getting a look at that new vaulting table device, which has really revolutionized gymnastics for both men and women.
Ivankov currently leading the all-around here tonight.
He's going for a Yurchenko vault, round-off entry, nice block off the horse to a double twist. Very nice distance, nice landing.
Doesn't practice many of those landings because he thinks his Achilles tendons only have so many stuck landings left in them.
He's had 4 Achilles operations. 4 of them. Philippe Rizzo from Australia, 8.512 on the rings.
Please welcome Alexei Bondarenko.
Now our second competitor, this particular rotation, Alexei Bondarenko from Russia.
He's just having a lousy day so far. He's currently in 11th, and on any given day, this guy could win the whole thing. He's a very complete package as a gymnast. Has the strength, flexibility, the quickness to do the high level of difficulty.
Earlier in the week, 7th on the rings.
You know, that's one thing that's important in the sport of gymnastics, especially in all-around competition. Consistency is the key.
Tied for 2nd on this event at the 98 Games in New York.
He's a little high in a couple of those strength move positions, but he has great control of the rings. Oh, shaky there. Once you pick up swing with the rings, it's important to kill it, and he did it nicely with that next swing move. Good job. Love that dismount.
Bondarenko from Russia.
A lot of guys in the competition are doing laid-out double somersaults. Some are adding 1 twist. He adds 2 twists, and that is just gorgeous. Here's another look at it from overhead. There's a lot going on there.
Double-double right there.
Bingo.
Ivankov from Belarus, 9.375. And he'll take what he did on the vault moments ago.
Absolutely.
American Sean Townsend from Houston.
Rolling the dice here. He's going to do a handspring double front. Oh, man. He had it.
Just in the warm-up, that's exactly what he did. It's his line landing. He was missing a little bit on height, had tried to pull it, and unfortunately missed out on it.
He's pretty good on this event. Finished 2nd on this event at the 2001 U.S. Championships.
Sometimes he can really pop a good vault. Great mechanics. Look at the power. He's flying down that runway. 25 meters of run. Great heel drive. Looked like he was going to have it just kicked out a little bit too soon. Should have pulled it around just a little more. That's a disappointment because if he hopes to contend today, needs that vault. That's one of his best scoring events.
Alexei Bondarenko, 9.3 on the rings. His best score so far tonight. Nikolai Kroyukov, another Russian. Now he's had the bad finger on his right hand. How will that affect him on this?
It affects him most on the parallel bars, but it was just this spring that he broke a joint in his finger competing. That's a nice combination. Strength to strength, rolling around to the L-cross position. Oh, in trouble there. He's a little high in that inverted cross. You see there, his shoulders should be a little lower down into the rings to avoid getting any deductions.
More like that.
Good straight position.
The 22-year-old Russian Kryukov.
He's a really popular guy in the gymnastics community.
Yeah.
He said he had to spend a lot of time with a physiotherapist today to work out some of the kinks.
Trains in France. As you take a look at American Sean Townsend, 9:050 on the vault with another American on the runway. Brett McClure from Colorado Springs.
Great looking vault.
Beautiful.
Really nice mechanics as he came onto the vaulting table.
Here we go right now. He's going for his front handspring, 1.5 twister, front layout vault. Nice entry, beautiful heel drive, and nice layout stretch position.
McClure finishing third in this event at the 2001 U.S. Championships.
Ladies and gentlemen, those of you familiar with gymnastics will...
And it continues in the men all around.
That vault scored from a 9.6 start value based on its difficulty.
Which will reduce missed vaults and allow a wider hand position on impact. The cover of
Kryukov with a 9.275 on the rings and currently number 3 overall. It's the individual men's all-around tonight from Brisbane. On the vault, Brett McClure from the United States, 9.325. Overall ranking so far, number 2. We're back at day 4 at gymnastics. Kevin Harlan with 3-time Olympian and gold medalist Dominique Dawes and Olympic gold medalist Bart Connor. Where tonight we have the men's all-around, and tomorrow the women's individual all-around. 12 gymnasts tonight on 6 different apparatus. The women will be on 4 different apparatus tomorrow.
Marianne Dragulescu scored only an 8.6 in the individual apparatus finals the other day on rings. He is struggling a little with these strength moves.
2 medals already in these Goodwill games for Dragulescu.
We're going to see him coming up in the next event, the vault, where he is just outstanding. One of the few athletes in the world to do the vault that he'll perform. Good at those flipping and twisting aerial moves. That was a double-double in a tuck position dismount.
Dragulescu from Romania. And this is American Steve McCain.
Stephen McCain.
Plays 4th on this event at the 2001 U.S. Championships.
And also just flew in not too long ago from China for the World University Games, which he competed quite well at.
That ended last weekend.
All right. Good job for Steve. After struggling, starting to get it together. He's always been an explosive vaulter.
He was saying he was having a little bit of difficulties adjusting to the time, getting his body and mind in shape and geared up for another competition.
He looks to be one of the bigger competitors of all the 12 we've seen tonight.
He is a couple inches taller than some of the best, including Jovchev coming up next, who's only about 5'4".
Marianne Dragulescu from Romania, currently number 2 overall, 9.125 on the rings. A very solid beginning halfway through for Dragulescu. Jordan Jovchev from Bulgaria. Now this guy's 5'3", 133 pounds.
And I bet he has about 3% body fat. Watch what he does. He has a strength combination that is done by very few people in the world. Right here, L cross. Now watch, from the L cross, he's going to straighten his legs out, but totally straight and go right to the inverted cross. I'm sorry.
You can definitely see why he won the bronze the other day on this event.
He's not done. Look at this bounce cross, and look, he's going to pull back to one more Maltese. Hello. That can't be done. Double out with a full.
Oh, he nailed it! There's your 2000 Olympic bronze medalist is Marion Jones looking on.
He slipped going down the staircase.
No, he's going to be great on the rings and then slip on the stairs.
Man, Marion must have thrown him off there a little.
Yeah.
This is just something. Look at this. Perfect position. Now watch what he does. He straightens his body out. And the trick to get the most bonus points is to get your body totally straight and not raise yourself up until you go right to the inverted cross position. That is just amazing. Look at the striations in the deltoid muscle. Kind of like your shoulders there, Kevin.
Kind of, exactly. Stephen McKay, number 6 overall, 9.337 on the vault. And now up next from China, Wang Shu, who has won a medal of every color in the individual event finals this week.
He didn't vault the other day in the individual event finals, but his teammate Liu Bin won the whole thing.
He was good.
Oh, hit his hand down.
That will be a huge deduction there. He does a round-off entry vault and then does a half on to the horse and tries to pull around a Rudy, which is the 1.5, just a little short, and see how his hands hit the mat. That's a deduction.
That
Yovchev of Bulgaria, 9.775. Terrific. That dazzled the crowd. Now back in the rings from Australia, Damien Istria. Until last night, no Australian gymnast had won a medal in the game's history. Rizzo won the gold last night in the high bar.
Oh, man. That's so tough.
He's sinking.
Squeeze those iron cross positions as much as you can.
Tell me about that apparatus they've got around the wrist that extends over their palm.
The leather hand guard has actually a dowel rod out by the fingers and it gives you a better grip when you swing through the bottom.
It's also used on the women's apparatus as well, the uneven parallel bars. It helps in release moves and just swinging around the bars.
Some emotion from Damien Istria of Australia, who finished second on this event of the 2000 Australian Championships. And Wang Shu, currently number 2 overall, 9.225. Which brings us now to Ukrainian Alexander Svetlichny.
He was 5th in this event in the individual event finals the other day.
Lacking a little bit of height on that vault, that's why I ended up sitting it down.
You know, they play that rock and roll music after you're done, and I don't think when you splat like that, you really want to hear any rock and roll music.
Play it before, though, to get the guy's side, right?
That's it.
Huh? On the rings moments ago, Istria of Australia, 9.350. Tantalizing night here at Gymnastics on day 4 from Brisbane. All around now in the standings after 3 rotations. Ivan Ivankov of Belarus at number 1. Wang Shu from China at the silver spot right now. There are 2 Americans in the top 6, and then Stephen McCain at number 9. Kevin Harlan with Dominique Dawes and Bart Connor. Now we've got the vault and the parallel bars for the first time. You see the parallel bars, an American, Sean Townsend. He is the reigning U.S. champion on this event, as well as in the all-around.
I'd really like to see him do a nice routine here. He has a terrific exercise, chock full of bonus points. Would start from a 10-0 start value if he does it all today. Full pirouette, watch this. Giant double in the pike position. A combination here that's very important. Giant double in the tuck position. Nice rhythm. This is a great looking set. He's fulfilled all the requirements above the bar, below the bar. Oh, yeah.
Solid.
Sean was actually the top scorer in the entire field at the Sydney Olympics on this event, so this should be a nice set for him.
This is an important combination. His arms need to be locked out and straight on that first element called a peach basket, a giant to a tuck double back.
And now to the vault with Nikolai Kryukov. Placed second on this event at the 1998 Goodwill Games in New York City.
He should be going for a handspring double front somersault.
This is a blind landing vault.
Oh.
You know, normally you see gymnasts under-rotate that vault, end up sitting on their bottom. He has so much power, he ended up over-pulling it and getting a little bit of a deduction on that landing.
From this overhead shot, take a look at those parallel white lines. He needs to land in between those to establish to the judges that he was in line with the vaulting table. But unfortunately, the deductions of over-rotating will be severe.
Texan Sean Townsend on the parallel bars. 22 years old and continue to tally his marks. Right now in the top 6 in this men's individual all-around 9-4-7-5.
Representing the USA, will you please welcome Brett McClure.
Now here is Brett McClure from the United States. 3 Americans competing tonight, all in the same group of 6.
Brett also has the potential of a big score here. That's great. Look at the height, how effortlessly he swings those below bar elements.
Brett's got 1 medal. Bronze on the pommel horse earlier this week.
And 5th coming into this rotation here. And that's going to help him, though. Nice routine and just terrific execution in mechanics.
Marion Jones watching on. Brett McClure from the U.S. Tied for 3rd in the event at the 2001 U.S. Championships.
Working on a single rail in a move like this is one of the 5 individual element group requirements on parallel bars, in addition to moves on top of the bar in a handstand, as well as below.
Kryukov with a 9-2-0. And overall, currently number 1. 2 events to go. Many competitors, though, remaining in this 4th rotation, which brings us to Romanian Marian Dragulescu.
He could be in for a thrill here. He's one of the few guys in the world that does this vault. It amounts to 3 somersaults and a half twist at the end. Wow! Isn't that something? And every time he does it like that. I mean, most guys would be on their face. Handspring up onto the vaulting table. 2.5 somersaults from there. Look at, he's just in the air. That new vaulting table is terrific, especially for this kind of vault. It launches him higher, and that's why in the future we're going to see even more spectacular vaults, because of this new vaulting table device is just mechanically better for the athletes.
And safer, too.
Yeah, and also the half turn at the end allows him to see the floor first, so it's not a blind landing, and that was a wonderful vault for him.
Scores have been coming very slow on the parallel bars tonight as you wait for the numbers on Brett McClure.
Well, as we know, this is a new code, and it's difficult for the gymnasts to get adjusted to it, and the judges have to get adjusted to it as well. So they're, you know, getting familiar with all these new tricks and new bonuses.
Even in the finals last night, they changed the score on Ivankov because they had a discrepancy in the difficulty value.
9-1-7-5 for McClure. 27-year-old Steve McCain from the U.S. McCain tied McClure for third on this event at the 2001 U.S. Championships.
9th place in the all-around coming into this performance here. He's always known to throw some big, outrageous skills. But in the past, he's had some trouble with consistency. Not having his best day today. Trouble on the horse. And now just a little flat on the parallel bars. Nice elevation as he transferred to the single rail and pressed to the handstand.
Going back to Marian Dragulescu from Romania, 9.750. The excitement of the men's all-around in downtown Brisbane. Day 4 of the Goodwill Games. The globe-trotting Stephen McCain from the United States and China competing last week in Australia this week. Number 6, 8.737 on the parallel bars. There we go, back to the vault from Bulgaria, Jordan Yovchev.
Just before the meet, I said, what vault are you going to do? And he goes, I'll know when I raise my arm and start running. I said, you can't do that. You got to let the judges know what you're going to do before you do it. All right.
Double twist. That was really nice.
He was working a more complicated vault in practice, and he hates to practice vaulting. He just hates it. I mean, literally, the guy only vaults in meets. I'm not kidding you. I see him every day, and he says, I hate this event.
But he's got the compact body that is perfect.
He's just such an athlete. Yeah. 9.7 is the potential maximum score for that vault. A shorter rotation, which will be a deduction. Probably should practice it occasionally. Just an idea.
China has won the most medals in the men's competition, and Wang Shu has offered 3. A gold, a silver, and a bronze. And now the 22-year-old who lives in Beijing on the parallel bars.
This is where his gold medal was the other night. Beautiful. Similar combination than we've seen from some of the other athletes. Watch how he works his way out to the end and back in to the middle. Not a requirement, but impressive. Oh, that's just brutal on the upper arms.
It's fun to watch.
Oh, yeah, sure. He is in total control. We're looking at a big score if he can put this dismount down. Nice.
Wang Shu of China continues to dazzle.
scored a 9.675 to win this event. Just so impressed with his body line. Incredible power. Look at the form that he manages to keep in that double back somersault, catching on his upper arms. Only had a slight balance check there as he was pressing up to that handstand. Just a little hitch on his way up. It's a great angle to see a pike double back. You have to push it outside the rails. Jason Furr caught his foot on the rail and almost crashed badly last night.
Jordan Yovchev from Bulgaria, 9.375 on the vault. Ranked number 2 so far. In the men's all-around tonight, up next from Australia, Damien Istria. On the vault.
Another 274. He had nice propulsion, nice lock off the horse. Beautiful body position. Should score quite well.
He was the #1 finisher on this event at the 2000 Pacific Alliance Championships.
Here he goes to perform the vault. Half onto the horse, double twist off. Beautiful landing.
Wong Shu, 9.537. He is #1 so far tonight, with almost the completion of rotation 4. Which brings us to Alexander Svetlichny from the Ukraine. One of the older competitors in this entire event, 29 years old. We actually had a 31-year-old gymnast the other night.
That's right, Sylvester Cholanya, the winner of the rings, 31 years old. Svetlichny competed in the 96 and the 2000 Olympics.
Yet never in the Goodwill Games until this week.
I like that combination. Oh, struggle on that uprise to handstand. There's a new type of element that is required where you support yourself on your upper arms and do a skill from that position. He's saying, man, that didn't go right.
But some personality, which you, I think, love to see. A very serious and meaningful event like the Goodwill Games or any international competition. Damien Istria from Australia, 9.412 on his vault. And the crowd again loving every second they get a chance to see down the runway of Philippe Rizzo.
But he plans to train and compete through the 2004 Olympics. Could be a contender for a gold on the high bar there. Oh, handspring double front to a 3-point landing.
The common vault performed.
It's important that the gymnasts land on their feet. If their rear end touches before their feet do, they get a 0 from the judges. And the judges are looking very closely because they don't want the athletes just hucking it up in the air and trying to put it down. For the specter of safety, they want to make sure that at least your feet hit first. Let's see if it's a race between the feet and the rear end, and his feet slightly one out.
And for Svetlichny of the Ukraine, 8.712 on the parallel bars. He wasn't all that happy with it and gave us a shrug and a wink after his performance. And this will bring us to Ivan Ivankov from Belarus, who placed second on this event at the 98 Goodwill Games in New York City. Some extra rosin on his hand. Do you guys notice with the warm-ups before each individual event tonight that it has had a positive effect on performances?
In my impression, it has. I think we're seeing more consistent performances. We're seeing that the crowd is more into it because they're seeing more gymnastics in front of their eyes. The gymnasts are out on the floor warming up.
I think it has to have made a positive difference. The athletes that made mistakes on certain apparatuses the other day are not making those same mistakes. These warm-ups, you know, always get you geared up mentally as well as a little bit physically.
Nice job.
Nice.
Now, he did an easier routine than the one he did in the individual apparatus finals last night. His routine was the subject of some controversy because the judges miscalculated the bonus value of the routine and went back and recalculated it, deducted 0.4 of a point from his routine because he didn't make a important connection bonus.
Philippe Rizzo on the vault. It's a night for the stars. The world's elite are here in Brisbane. The men's all-around. This is the championship of this entire Goodwill Games gymnastics for the men. And Wang Shu of China, who has already captured 3 medals, is number 1. 2 Americans in the top 6.
Extremely close battle between 3rd and 4th between Yovchev and Ivankov. They're separated by 1/1000th of a point. See who makes it to the podium today.
China has won the most medals so far, and Wang Shu has accounted for 3 of China's 4. China is the only country to have won 2 gold medals on the vaults and on the parallel bars. We now go for the first time tonight to the high bar. An American, Brett McClure from Colorado Springs, born and raised in Yakima, Washington.
McClure was 4th in the individual event finals this week. Beautiful combination. Has the potential for a big score here. I remember first seeing this gymnast and being really impressed with his smooth rhythm. Just look at the execution and form.
Nice pointed toes, nice straight knees, straight arms.
A real stylist in many ways. Someone like Alexei Nemov.
Yes.
Really stylish, beautiful performer.
Brett McClure already has a bronze in these games on the pommel horse.
This is a really nice combination. In-bar Stalder to a laid-out reverse hack, and his form was much better than in the individual event finals, where he bent his knees as he traveled back across the bar.
The parallel bars. Russian Nikolai Kryukov. 4th on this event at the 1999 World Championships, where he eventually won the all-around.
He took the silver medal in this event yesterday in the individual event final, scored a 9.45, just drilled his dismount.
Kryukov has 2 medals so far. Silver on the parallel, silver on the high bar.
Extremely popular young man around the gym. Everybody enjoys his pleasant demeanor. Always personable, speaks perfect English. Really nice combination there.
Trains in France part of the time.
Spends a lot of his time there. His former coach moved to France, and he comes to the States often as well. Hung up on that single rail, but saved it.
Difficult double front with a half dismount.
Kryukov. Brett McClure On the high bar, 9-6-1-2.
Next competitor to high bar represents Romania. Welcome, please, Marian Dragulescu. Sorry, Stephen
Now
McCain.
here is Steve McCain, the big Texan.
He's got a great high bar routine. Watch this opening sequence. Very tricky combination. I like this guy because he chucks the big stuff. I mean, he's not going to hold back. That's just not what he does.
Wrist is definitely a part of this event.
Watch this right here. In bar full to a Ginger. I mean, to a Kovacs, and he's supposed to follow up with another release move, but he adjusted. He's totally improvising this routine right now. Oh, in too close again, but he hung on.
So this is not planned, this is improvised?
That skill he followed up with was, but he left out an important move, and so he had to adjust the direction of his routine and still finish big.
Almost done.
He's always fun to watch because he just throws the big stuff, and he's ready to improvise whenever he has to.
He's so big to begin with. I mean, he's long.
This is just a huge move, and he's in really close. A lot of guys would catch that with their chin, but somehow he managed to get his hands up in front of his face, and he doesn't even break form on the thing.
The Russian Kryukov with a 9-2-8-7 on the parallel bars. He speaks perfect Russian, too.
I think he said something like, I'm not really happy with how that went.
I'm tired of our Connor's criticisms upstairs. Marian Dragulescu from Romania. His father is a retired mechanic. His mother still works, though, in a pizzeria in Bucharest.
And already so far, he's won 2 medals here at the Goodwill Games. Silver on the floor exercise and a bronze on the vault.
Pizzeria, you're always talking about food.
Doesn't that sound good now?
Form break there. Hop to that single rail. Oh, I like that. Little hop 3/4 pirouette back into the, in between the bars and connected with a double back somersault. That's a pretty clever little combination.
He's got it going.
You know what's interesting is that the judges will not allow you to repeat any skills for bonus points. And so under the new rules, we keep complaining about the new rules, but one of the benefits is it is encouraging more originality. The gymnasts are showing us a more variety of skills than we've seen in the past. That's because those rules demand it. So yes, we like to complain about the rules, but there is one advantage. We're seeing some original skills. Nice combination.
But did the sport need to virtually double the intensity and the strength of these events? And was that called for?
Well, naturally, the athletes are getting better, the equipment changes, and they need to adjust the rules to accommodate the higher standard of performance.
McCain and 9-0-1-2 on the high bar. Which brings us to the #1 overall leader through 4 rotations, Wang Shu of China.
We're heading into a very exciting finish with this competition because his weakest event is the one coming up next. So he should be able to put together a good score here. He doesn't take a lot of risk. There's one release move. Beautiful. Right out the end of his fingertips on that catch.
He's had a great night.
Yeah.
Wang Shu is on fire. What an outstanding night he is having.
Very smartly designed routine for him. He gets his bonus points, not from high release moves and risky elements like that, but more from pirouetting skills. But he has to do one mandatory release move like that, and that was nicely done, enough to fulfill the requirement. It's all about fulfilling those 5 event requirements on each of the 6 apparatus.
Ariane Dragulescu from Romania on the parallel bars, 8.962, which will take us halfway through rotation 5, the men's all-around. Now here is Jordan Yovchev from Bulgaria.
This is an event where Yovchev doesn't have a really high start value, so he's going to need to be clean, much as he was on the Palmer horse, a low start value. Many of the gymnasts slow to adjust to these new, more stringent standards. Not going to be a very high score for Yovchev.
Wang Shu, 9.7. And I think he's going to hold on to number 1, even though we're not all the way through rotation 5. What a night. The best in the world on center stage. The men's all-around continues from the Brisbane Convention and Exhibition Center with Dominique Dawes and Bart Connor. This is Kevin Harlan as you take a look at Jordan Yovchev. On the parallel bars moments ago, 9.075, which he'll take. And now on the high bar from Belarus, Ivan Ivankov, 26 years old, 138 pounds, placed 4th all around at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney and won this event at the 98 Goodwill Games in New York.
Got a couple of hairy moves coming up. Nice pirouette. Here's a big one right here. Oh, gorgeous. Double over in the laid-out position.
Oh, he nailed it. Ivan Ivankov from Belarus.
He loves to be back in Brisbane. 7 years ago, won the World Championship here. This is just an enormous release move. Double layout over the bar. Catches it nicely. Perfect swing out of it.
That's his wife.
That's Susie. They were married the 8th of June. I'm glad he didn't see that.
No matter how many times you watch those tricks, it's always a little jaw-dropping.
That's a great shot by our director, Lonnie Dale. That was sweet.
Fantastic.
That was sweet. Well, here has quickly become the newest star in Australia, Philippe Rizzo, who has shown a wonderful charisma, buoyed by his gold medal winning performance last night. And he actually won this event at the 2000 Australian Championships.
A little sloppy there, but he's got some cool tricks and good combinations. Oh, he's really just
his rhythm is gone
through this routine. Yeah.
Nice fight, though, to recover.
That's right. He's waiting for the high bar. That's when he's at his best. That'll be next for him.
That's what he won the gold in last night. But that's going to hurt his overall score. And Ivan Koff with a 9.525 on the high bar.
Please welcome Sean Townsend.
Next up, from America, Sean Townsend.
Sean also has a couple of terrific sequences in this routine. A big release and a really clever dismount combination. You're going to like this one, Kevin.
I love hearing the noise of that thing rattling.
Okay, here it comes. Oh, nicely done. Smooth rhythm out of it.
Is that disconcerting to the
Watch this. Here's the half turn right into a triple. Oh, yeah. Yeah, nice.
Beautiful.
You know, even though we're hearing that rattling, when you're on the uneven parallel bars or any other equipment for that matter, you block it out of your mind, just focusing on your set.
This is just so cool. It's what they call a half Takamoto to a triple, and the fact that he does it immediate racks up more bonus points for him instead of an intermediate giant swing. Oh, that was great.
Saw the
originality.
Smile. Yes.
That was awesome.
From Townsend from Texas. Philippe Rizzo with a disappointing 8.60 on the parallel bars. And now we go to Russian Alexei Bondarenko. 7th all around at the 2000 games in Sydney.
He really could have won a medal in the all-around there. Was one of the favorites. And sloppy on the vault where he normally is spectacular.
Of course, this is the event where Mark Connor won a gold.
Hey, how about that? Of course, if I would do the routine that I did back in 1984, if I would do it out there tonight, assuming I could, if I hit it perfectly, it would score about an 8.1. That's how much better these athletes are, how much more difficulty they do.
Yeah, you'd have adapted. Oh, yeah, you'd have adapted. And you did it in L.A., in front of your home country.
Oh, look at that sequence. That was great, and that's what he messed up in the individual event finals last night. Only scored an 8.962. This is going much better tonight. Oh, it's just a little off for him. 8.7 in the floor, 8.575 in the horse, a 9.3 in rings, 9.575 in the vault, but not working tonight.
Sean Townsend 9.6 on the high bar. But our leader through 5 rotations is from China, Wan Xu, at the Goodwill Games Gymnastics. Fireworks inside the Brisbane Convention and Exhibition Center, and fireworks coming your way on Tuesday night. Marion Jones will run in the 100-meter at the Goodwill Games on Tuesday, right here on TNT. Well, through 5 rotations with 1 to go, Wan Xu of China on top of Ivan Ivankov from Belarus and Marian Dragulescu from Romania, with 2 Americans in the top 6. Kevin Harlan with Olympic gold medal winner Bart Connor, 3-time Olympian and gold medal winner Dominique Dawes, and Dee Lynham, downtown Brisbane. This is Steve McCain from the United States, the floor exercise.
Oh, he was right on the border, didn't go outside of the line, so the judges will not take a 10th of a point deduction.
It was really good to see Steve do that, because in morning practice he was having difficulties on that combination.
A lot of closeness now with the top competitors, especially the top 4 or 5. What kind of strategy will they use in these last 2 events?
Certainly consistency is a key. Interesting point that the 2 leaders are coming up on the event where they are the weakest. Wan Xu and Ivankov have trouble on the floor.
You know, when you're competing, you try not to look at the scoreboard. You just try to focus on the set that you've been training for years and years. And I'm sure that's what they're doing tonight.
It's good to see Steve McCain having a good performance here. Been kind of hot and cold all night long. Oh, come on.
Ran out a little bit of gas in that last class.
I was going to ask you, what's the fatigue factor now? It's the last event.
You know, you're not usually tired at the end of a competition, but in a floor routine, a minute 30 exercise, endurance does play an important factor here. And here he goes for that last tumbling pass. A little weak on the landing, and then he just sits it down. No fight to stand up.
Steve McCain from the U.S. And now to Romania's Marian Dragulescu. The horizontal bar, the high bar.
You could put some pressure on the leaders here who are on their weakest event. He's got a great routine here. 2 just insane release moves he's going to go for.
Dragulescu has already won 2 medals. 2nd on the floor exercise earlier in the week. 3rd on the vault. The bronze.
Right away, there's the first one. 1.5 twister. See the coach step in. The coach is allowed to spot, especially on those hairy releases. Here's another one. Double over. Beautiful.
Having the coach there always gives the athlete a sense of protection and safety.
Muscled that out.
Oh, very nice. Looking to lose some points up there with that indecision.
Yes, had to break rhythm a little bit. You heard the Romanians in the background cheering "Stai, stai," which means stay, stop on the landing. Take a look at this double over the bar. Really nice form, and he caught it perfectly.
Dragulescu currently in 3rd. Here's Steve McCain finishing the floor exercise at 6.62. And here is our leader, Wang Shu of China, in what you, Dominique, think is his weakest of the 6 events.
Yes, he's lacking a little bit in tumbling and certain combinations, but as long as he stays on his feet and has a clean set, he should win this.
Oh!
Right away.
Here is our leader with the 2nd place Ivankov right on his tail.
And right away, almost the exact same mistake.
This floor exercise, Matt, we've talked about it all week long, but it's very unforgiving. If you're not exactly on in one of those bounding moves, you can't control it. He made an error and was unable to correct his body position before he went for that 3rd bounding skill. It's just a gigantic deduction. Half a point for crashing, deduction for going out of bounds.
You know, another thing about this floor exercise, Matt, is the rug itself is quite slippery. I remember tumbling on it. Turning is great on your toes, but if you're a little off on your landing, you'll slip whichever direction you're off on.
He needs an 8.425 to pass current leader Dragulescu, who's coming into this rotation as number 3.
Well,
Very questionable, even if he's going to get that score.
absolutely. He has got to feel that. His coach said before the meet he was worried about this sequence here. There's the full twist, and then the layout. He's not set up properly. His feet are way too out in front of him. He's trying to go for a 1.5 twister, but he lost his punch position. His feet slipped out from underneath him a little bit. You're right, Dominique. He did slide.
Dragulescu, 9.387. He is currently number 1. Now we go to Jordan Yovchev, the 5'3" Bulgarian.
See what he comes up with here. He has several choices for routines. Let's see if he comes up with the combination he needs to do right there. Nice. Those 3 releases in a row earn a half a point bonus.
He's the only athlete in this competition to do 3 in a row.
Yovchev needs a 9.437 to go into the lead over Dragulescu, who has already finished his competition.
to be tough. He doesn't have a very high degree of start value.
What was his start value?
It's a little lower than some of the other athletes. He got 5 tenths per point for that first sequence. Another 10 and 2 more. So it depends on what the judges take for execution deductions.
It's getting tight. Wong Shu, 8.375. He is dropped now to number 2.
He needed that first pass combination as well as the second.
Our last look tonight at the Ukrainian, Alexander Svetlichny. He's out. That's a penalty.
The 1/10 deduction when you cross over the line.
That skill there, it's called an Arabian. That's one of the newer requirements. You need to do either a side somersault skill or an Arabian type skill to fulfill one of the 5 event requirements on the floor. Oh no, just a layout. His ankle is hurt, and he's had lots of ankle trouble in his career. And didn't have the punch on that last tumbling pass to go for a double somersault.
Yeah, he probably obviously felt in that takeoff that he was going to be a little bit off on the landing, so he decided not to risk it and just go for a very simple, basic layout somersault.
Mathematically, though, Svetlichny cannot move into the top 3 at this point. But we do have some jockeying going on right now. As you take a look at Jordan Yovchev, the Bulgarian with the 9.187. The screws are tightening on the gymnastics 4th day at the Goodwill Games. It's the men's all-around individual gymnastics tonight. We're in our final rotation, our 6th rotation. Alexander Svetlichny from the Ukraine, 8.8 on the floor. And now here is Ivan Ivankov from Belarus. And he needs better than an 8.987 to move into the lead over those who have completed their 6 events tonight.
This is going to be the telling pass right here. Okay, not bad.
Not bad at all.
He admitted coming into this competition, he knows he doesn't have the high degree of start value on the floor because of his Achilles problem and problems with his lower back. Hasn't been able to train as much as he'd like.
Lower back still bothering him, as you said. 4 operations on his Achilles tendon. What kind of strategy would he implement knowing he's so close right now? Does he just let it rip?
It's all about being clean, really.
Yeah.
All about being clean, staying on your feet, and really doing the routine that you've been training to do. You don't want to change so much and play it safe, because sometimes playing it safe doesn't pay off at all.
Pike double back. Okay. Now, a lot less tumbling than the other athletes. Played it extremely safe, but that's all he can do right now because of this physical condition.
Here's a guy who's had all kinds of work done surgically on his legs, but is going to give it a run in this final event.
And here's his double pike somersault right here. Beautiful toe point, nice form, slight deduction on the landing.
Last night, Philippe Rizzo blew the roof off this place with a mesmerizing gold medal performance. The Australian in his final event tonight.
Got a really terrific move. Full twisting one-arm giant. In bar, full. Nice. Watch this. Right there. Oh, he's close, but he made it. That's just the coolest combination.
Spectacular. He's thrilled him again, and Felipe Rizzo knows that he finished strong.
Look at this release. It's called a def, invented by a French gymnast named Jacques Def. It's a back somersault with 1.5 twist. He caught it a little close, but didn't break form.
Yes, he's quite pleased with that performance.
Ivan Ivankov, 8.887. And now Sean Townsend, the American. He needs a 9.512 to overtake Ivankov, who is currently third, and that may have cost him right there.
Take a look at this pass. He had trouble in the warm-ups and again. Oh, my goodness. I was in here, a workout gym the other day, talking with him, and they were taking this floor surface up to replace it for the rhythmic gymnast to train and compete on. He said, oh, I wish I could spend a little more time on this floor. He arrived here late, coming from China.
It does take a few days to get adjusted to the floor, especially since this is a totally different floor than any other country. Nice double cut.
This guy's got a big future ahead of him. Just a terrific athlete. A little unlucky here.
The 22-year-old Texan, Sean Townsend. Felipe Rizzo, 9.675 on the high bar. That was his best mark tonight. Currently number 5. Now we go to Russian Alexei Bondarenko. And mathematically impossible to break into the medals.
8th place coming into this final performance. He gave us a thrill last year at the Sydney Olympics with his high bar routine. Many people felt he should have won the whole thing. In a little close on that release. Oh,
beautiful height.
Oh.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Terrific.
That's one of the good points of the new rules. More variety of skills than in the past.
Very nice.
Nice job.
His gymnastics support his entire family. His winnings internationally help pay the way for everyone in his family. So you know that this was obviously very important for him tonight and all week here at the Goodwill Games.
There's that 3-release combination. The first one laid out, second one straddled, the third one what they call a ginger, and you raise the value of the third release move in that sequence because it's done back to back to back.
It's thrilling to watch. Sean Townsend of the U.S. on the floor, very disappointing 8.137. Which brings us to American Brett McClure with a floor exercise, and that's the final event of the 6-apparatus display. And he's going to be penalized for stepping outside.
It's happening a lot today in competition.
9.6 to get into the medals. That'll be tough.
Second pass was a beautiful double layout somersault.
Can they add anything at the last second if they know they're that close? I know you talked before they got to stick with their routine, but what if he's just cooking?
Well, there's a lot of times in training you'll be working on more difficult moves, and if you feel you got the gas and the guts to go for it, then, you know, what do you have to lose?
Your tank isn't empty. Go ahead and find out what's left.
Great opportunity for this young man, because coming into today, he didn't even think he was going to be in the final. And in fact, after the event finals yesterday, he's pretty relieved. He thought he was going to have a little vacation, and they told him today, in the middle of the afternoon, hey, by the way, you're in, because Alexander Barish from Ukraine hurt his shoulder, pulled out, and did the best he could.
Bondarenka, number 5, 9.662. Very nice score on the high bar.
Welcome, please, Nikolai Kryukov.
And our final look tonight, Nikolai Kryukov, who would need a 10-3 to be a medal possibility.
Impossible.
Which is impossible.
Oh, that is just great. Love this release move coming here, the double front over the bar.
Beautiful. He might not win a medal, but that was a nice, strong finish for him.
And he knows it. You see him clench his fists. There is our gold medal winner, Marian Dragulescu from Romania. On the rings, Bart, everywhere around, solid, clean performances.
Really a balanced athlete. Has the power. He really just killed him with this vault. Double front with a half. On the other events where he's not so spectacular, he managed to be consistent enough to get a solid score, but it was here where he delivered a gigantic score on the vault. Parallel bars was clean and smooth. You know, he's going to win $20,000. In Romania, there's 28,000 Romanian lei to the dollar, so I'm not too good with math, but that's about 400 billion Romanian lei he just won.
He finished 13th all around at the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, but tonight he had the juice and he was ready to fly, and he wins the gold. And now for Dominique Dawes, Mark Connor, and Dee Lynham. This is Kevin Harlan, the women's all-around tomorrow night. Now we take you to swimming where the U.S. women take on the World All-Stars.
Heard in gymnastics circles at the end of competition. This time for Marian Dragulescu, the national anthem of Romania. He is the gold medalist.
Gentlemen, please stand for the national anthem of Romania. Please acknowledge our 2001 Goodwill Games Men's Artistic Champion.